Hello everybody, it's wonderful to be at another Conservation Expo. I'm really excited because today I get to bring you out here into macaw habitat and we are going to have an adventure. I'm Sam Williams, I'm the Executive Director and one of the founders of Macaw Recovery Network. The Macaw Recovery Network is a small conservation organisation here in Costa Rica and we're working to protect endangered macaws and parrots, their habitat, and we're also working with the communities in these areas. I've been fascinated by parrots since I was a young boy, and I had the very good fortune to have the opportunity to go and do fieldwork in Mauritius at the age of 16. And being outdoors and climbing trees, I was just hooked. And it really is as much of a surprise to me as it is to anybody else that I now lead a team of amazing conservationists. The past 18 months have been a real challenge, and the Macaw Recovery Network team have just been amazing. They've been like a family and supported each other throughout. They've also not stopped. Their dedication to parrots is really amazing. I'm really pleased about this format because it gives my team members opportunities to present their work. But let's first start with the parrots. Macaws are some of the most iconic of all birds. They're big birds and everybody can picture one. They're also some of the most endangered birds, and like most parrots, they're threatened by habitat loss and the collection of chicks for the pet trade. The great green macaw is our priority species because they're under the most threat. And actually we have a bit of bad news. Their population was reassessed. New information from Colombia indicates that the population may be less than 1,000 individuals, and that's across 6 countries, from Honduras in the north down to Ecuador in the south. Because of this, they've been reclassified and now they're considered critically endangered. The trend is really clear. They are heading towards extinction. Our work in the field here, and indeed the Macaw Recovery Network, is relatively new, and we really have a race on our hands if we are going to save this species. Today, we're in the field, as I mentioned, and that's really exciting because I want to introduce you to a mountain almond tree. They're a really important tree. They're a food source for the macaws, and they produce this really tough nut. Now, young macaws have to learn how to open these nuts. We actually collect nuts for our birds in the breeding center that are going to be reintroduced in the wild so that they have the time to practice and learn how to do it. And it does take them a lot of work, and there are really no shortcuts. As well as being an important food tree for the macaws, the great green macaws are very dependent on the mountain almond for their nests. Now, they don't make a nest like a garden bird. They use cavities. They're kind of lazy, but they're big birds, and so they need big trees. And these cavities are really huge and really quite incredible. And I'm going to show you one right now. Let me just stand up. Underneath me here is a great green macaw nest. And it goes all the way back to the tree. And there's another great green macaw nest above me in this elbow. And that nest is 10 feet deep. Now, there's even a third nest in this tree. It's really amazing. And the mountain almond trees are amazing. They can live for 650 years. If we imagine that this tree is that old, it was a seedling in the 1400s. They tower above the canopy at 180 feet tall. They're I love them, and as you can see, this tree has got purple flowers in it right now. As you might imagine, the view I have from up here is amazing. It's the kind of view a little penguin would dream about. But let me ask you this, as you look at this tree, can you imagine that there'll ever be a time when a monkey will swing through the branches of this tree again? In continuous forest, there's all sorts of life in the canopy. There are snakes up there. I've encountered pit vipers while I've climbed trees. I've been in trees while there have been troops of monkeys coming through there as well. But when trees are standing on their own, they're not part of that canopy. And that really highlights the importance of our habitat work. Maricela is leading that work, and she's going to tell you a bit about that work just now.
I'm happiest when walking in the rainforest or playing with dirt here in the nursery. Watching plants and trees grow and become home for all sorts of creatures is marvelous. Trees contribute to create ecosystems where everything from mini bees to sloths, jaguars, and of course macaws can thrive. And let's not forget the soil they grow on. It's full of life too. Here in our nursery, we're growing several species of native trees that are important for the survival of the great green macaw. For example, Oyare mono, crabwood, fruta dorada, and mountain almond. And we are aiming to grow at least 20 species by the end of next year. We have a lot of mountain almond because its wood is so desirable that 9 out of 10 were cut before they could get protection. This work has just started, but we have already planted 1,000 trees and grown 3,000 trees here in our nursery. We're doing this work together with 4 partners. We're also going out in the forest each month to determine the status of the trees and check for the availability of food for the macaws throughout the year. In the tree where Sam is, you can see flecks of purple. These are the tree's flowers. When it's at the highest in the bloom, all the entire crown is covered in purple. Knowing the life cycle of trees and its abundance help us better determine what trees to grow. Forests are critical for so many species, and when we protect and restore them, we're not only helping the macaws, but we are also contributing in a small but important way to mitigating the climate crisis. This is why this work is so important to me.
Thanks, Maricela. As Maricela said, the mountain almond tree is protected, but the forest around the trees is not. And I've experienced it firsthand when that forest has been cleared. I was checking a nest with a chick in it while there was a bulldozer on the ground below me clearing the forest. You'll notice here with this tree that there's pasture around the tree, and that speaks to the human element. And we cannot ignore that if we're looking to safeguard the future of the parrots into the long term. And so that's where our community work comes in, and Pamela leads that work, and she's going to tell you about that now.
If we want to safeguard the future of parrots, we must bring conservation and local communities together. Let's see the human faces of conservation. Maria Elena is a 19-year-old lady who lives in Pital, a rural community in the north side of Costa Rica. I met her when she was 15. I used to be her environmental education teacher, and we used to pass many time talking about the importance of the rainforest of her community. She wanted to become a forest engineer, but the lack of opportunities in her community limited her dream. Today, she is one of the women rangers that are part of our program, and I can picture Maria Elena and the rest of the ladies has an empowered group of women leading the Great Green Macaw conservation. Pital is a rural community in Costa Rica with one of the highest density of Great Green Macaw nests, but also it has one of the lowest index of social development. People in the area invest their life working in cattle farms, in pineapple plantation, yucca plantation, and also tourism. As you may imagine, the pandemic has hit the tourism sector, and also it did with MRN. Since 2018, MRN have been monitoring the nest in Pital, where Maria Elena lives, and we do it by volunteers. This year was a little bit different. The pandemic limited the number of volunteers that came to Costa Rica for working with us. And also, many people in Pital lost their job. We decided to take these problems and merge in a solution. We create the Women Ranger program. With this program, we train 10 local women of how to monitor the Great Green Macaw nest in the area. By taking the COVID-19 precautions, we trained them of how to monitor the nest. We gave them binoculars, we gave them data sheets, and they start going into the field by themselves. for taking data. It was amazing, and thanks to this work, we were able to discover a new nest. This is not the end of this happy story. By working with us, the women rangers increased awareness of the status of the great green macaw, and they came to me with the idea of creating a local tree nursery in their community. Now, we are working with the local government for securing a public land and building this nursery in their community. MRN also has been declared as an important organization for the community by the local government. This is amazing. We have been reaching our main goal to protect the great green macaw, but also we are reaching other goals in quality education and gender equality. We are so happy with this program, and we hope we can make it bigger in the future. The Women Ranger program is not the only one that is running at the moment in the outreach program. We are also working with landowners and developing citizen science. We are also working with other species like the yellow-naped Amazon, but Cesar will tell you more about it.
Yellow-naped Amazons are amazingly charismatic. Wild birds make some incredible vocalizations. And unfortunately for them, they are very good at mimicking the human voice. Now, why is this a problem? Because people will take them and keep them as pets, which has led to the decline in their populations. Now, I fell in love with these birds as watching them in the dry forests of Costa Rica. Now, you may have noticed that this is no macaw, but we're still working with these parrot species because their populations are highly endangered and they keep on decreasing. For example, a couple years ago, in the last roost count across its distribution, only 2,360 birds were counted. That across 5 countries, which shows that their populations are clearly diminished in the last few decades. So this year we started working with Equipo Tora Carey. They are an organization that have been doing an amazing work protecting turtle eggs at the beaches of northwestern Costa Rica. And through community work, they have seen a change in how the turtles are perceived and now protected. So this year we went out with them to do some roost counts. They have been doing so for the last few years, where in a couple of islands just offshore. It was just magical. We were able to see roughly 10% of the worldwide population of yellow-napes just at this site. We wanted to expand their work, so we trained a couple of guys, Denilson and Ricardo, on climbing techniques. In that way, they would be able to access some of the nests, which some of them are even located in cliffs out in the islands. Now, this is only our first year working along with them, but we have already seen a change in their attitudes. And as important members of the community, we expect that this is going to permeate across the community on behalf of the birds. As much as I love these parrots, I would love to see these protection efforts increase all across the distribution in northwestern Costa Rica.
Thank you, Pamela and Cesar. The great green macaw is an incredible flagship species for the rainforest, as is the yellow-naped Amazon parrot for the dry forest. Both species are loud and highly visible, and they're associated with the forest. So when we protect those birds, we're protecting all the diversity of the forest, from the creepy crawlies to the jaguars and the tapirs. It's really wonderful that the Macaw Recovery Network team have the opportunity to present today, and you can see just how deeply passionate they are about their work. I'm really thrilled that the Rangers are part of our team now, and I hope that as we move forward they become increasingly integral to the conservation work that we're doing. Donors too are part of our team, and you have been an important source of hope for us through the pandemic. We are not going to save the great green macaw from extinction without the help of people like yourselves. And when we work together, together we thrive. Thank you for joining us today.